Welcome into Turnkey on Queen City News Plus, your go-to show for everything real estate. We talk about the latest market trends, do's and don'ts of the industry, and provide expert advice on navigating this dynamic landscape that we call home. I'm your host, Morgan Francis, and maybe when you were growing up, you thought, oh gosh, it would be so cool if I could be a professional athlete. Or maybe now in your 9 to 5, you're thinking it would be really nice if I could quit my job and run an Airbnb property or a short-term rental. Well, one of our guests today, Brandt Bronico, happens to do both. He is a Charlotte FC midfielder, kind of a local guy, went to UNC Charlotte for 4 years. And then we also have his coach, Caleb Shore, who owns My Tripify. So I guess you could say, Brandt, that you just really love being coached in life.
I guess so. Especially to have, great coaches. It is nice. And I'm super fortunate.
So Caleb, you're kind of like the expert of the day, right?
Expert gets thrown around often, but I mean, I'm still learning. I'm ahead of a lot of people in knowledge, but God, there's just so much to learn. So I wouldn't consider myself an expert.
Let's dive right into the short-term rental thing, because I think a lot of people have the idea that it would be fun and easy and you'd make a lot of money doing it. But going back to what you already mentioned is you're constantly learning something. So what was one of the hardest lessons, and either of you could answer this, what's one of the hardest lessons you learned starting out to kind of let people know, hey, this isn't just like an easy game here?
I mean, it's a business. Like buying a house and managing Airbnb, it sounds sexy and easy, but it's a business and you need to treat it like one. Otherwise, people like us will come in that are treating it like business, other bigger investors that will come in and, take more bookings from you, add more amenities, make more money. So keeping it like you could list something a couple years ago and just kind of passively succeed. Now is not the case.
Caleb, how did you go from owning a couple Airbnbs yourself to being the guy who advises everyone on how to make theirs successful?
That's a good question. I think I've put myself out there on social media a lot and just trying to give back value. Like I wanted to be the person that I needed when I first started, right? Like I wanted to be that coach, so to speak, where when I first started, there was nobody really doing what I'm trying to put out and help the people that are just starting out. So I want to kind of be that north light for other investors, other hosts.
Yeah. And Brandt, you have a couple of properties in and around the Charlotte area, right?
Yeah, we have two. My wife and I have two in Charlotte, and then we have 2 units up in Mooresville near the lake.
And I think this is a video of pretty much a number of your properties. Which one did you start with?
We started in 2021 when I moved back from Chicago. We were looking to buy a home, and we honestly kind of house hacked, but we house hacked in a way where we could Airbnb it and long-term rent it. So I had to convince my wife to get on board with it.
Now, okay, so you define house hacking, because sometimes it can be like you've got a roommate. Other times it's like a completely separate entrance and you never see the person.
Right. So we actually did a little bit of both. We bought a...
God bless your wife then.
Yes, she was, yeah.
Rebecca,
Thank God.
right?
Yeah, Rebecca. But yeah, we kind of got into it that way, and I convinced her, like, hey, we should just do this, maybe for the first year or two and see how it goes. I had a buddy I lived with in college, too, who was looking for a place to rent. So we bought a 3-story townhome, and the front of the townhome, it automatically went into a bedroom, 1 bed, 1 bath, and I separated that. There was a door. So I cut that off, cut off access to the rest of the home. And there was a 2-bed, 2.5 bath upstairs. So we Airbnb'd the bottom. That was completely separate. Like we never saw those guests. But then on the back, you could access the home through the garage. So my wife and I stayed in the primary with our own bathroom, and then my buddy rented the other room in the guest room. So
at least you knew the person then.
Yeah,
it's not like a complete
that was
stranger.
that was I guess the caveat. I was like, Rebecca's like, okay, well, we have to know the person. And the Airbnb I ended up doing extremely well. And Rebecca was like, oh, we need to get more. So now she runs and does all the day-to-day for our Airbnbs.
And you have a little one at home too, right?
Yeah, he just turned 1 last month. So juggling that
Life
now
is
with
busy
yeah,
then.
It's never been busier. That's for sure.
So who does all the Airbnb, fix-it items, the list of things that need to get repaired, and who holds the child and makes sure that he doesn't get in trouble?
We take turns. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, you watch the baby for this time, and then I need to go clean or I need to go fix this, like you said. Or we have one of the Airbnbs is a tiny home in our backyard that we just built last year.
Oh, okay.
So maybe when the baby's napping, then you can
Yeah.
go out and address any issues that they might have caused.
Yeah, hopefully it's like a good 2 to 3 hour nap that you can get enough stuff done.
Yeah, he's starting to get longer. Starting to get longer.
So I love what you guys are doing online. You have, let me see if I can pull it up full screen here. You have a Instagram page that is really fun, and I'm wondering, Caleb, you're very involved online, as you mentioned. Is this part of the, the goal is trying to be an online presence, make it fun with these fun videos? I love this one. Just getting to watch the guy work shirtless. I mean, these are some fun videos.
Baby.
That you,
Free
yeah,
baby.
free baby.
A lot of these were.
But these are fun. And is this all part of trying to, market the property?
Yeah, I mean, this is Brandt and Rebecca's brainchild here. We do it more from like a company perspective. I mean, I think social media is the way to really do anything, and making it fun like this is genius. Like, this is obviously they're at the property doing some cleaning, probably between stays, maybe not. But this is yeah, I mean, you guys take definitely more of a fun twist on it for sure.
Yeah, Rebecca's the brain behind it. She's like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is what I need you to do.
So then what are some of the tips that you offer people who are trying to get into the short-term rentals of how to, maximize listings, and what kind of optimization do you use to make sure that your listing, out of all the listings out there, are the first ones that pop up?
Yeah, I mean, that rabbit hole goes very deep. I
Yeah.
think a couple easy ones are just adding it with amenities, like making sure you have, like, we hire designers for all of ours, and we recommend to our clients to hire designers because that's the easiest way to stand out for the least amount of cost.
Mm-hmm.
And then packing amenities. Like, I've been calling it like an amenity arms race, where you almost have to have a hot tub, you have to have string lights, to really stand out nowadays. Because like right now, there's only 100 listings with a pool in Charlotte.
Okay.
There's even less with pool and hot tub. There's even less with pool, hot tub, game room. There's even less with pool, hot tub, game room, fire pit. So like, I think that is the easiest way right now in 2026 to stand out.
I see string lights on there, and it's something that is so inexpensive, but I think when people are looking at the listing pictures, they envision their night around a fire pit with string lights and kind of the mood and how fun it's going to be. With the pool, my question would be, is there an added liability there? And how do you handle, is that extra insurance that you have to have? Do you recommend that someone have their short-term rental under an LLC versus under their name in case they were to get sued over some sort of crazy incident? How would you guide people on that?
Yeah, I mean, any body of water, hot tub included, I mean, even like a bathtub is increased liability. So yes, to answer your question, definitely increased liability insurance. I own my properties in an LLC. I advise our clients and students to do the same thing. Not required, like, don't let it stop you from buying a property, because you could always move it from your personal name to the LLC later down the road. But yes, for sure, added liability insurance, proper signage, like, swim at your own risk, no lifeguard, like this things that seem stupid, like they do pull a lot of weight. Hopefully we never have to get tried on any of these things,
You have to
but
plan for the worst
plan
and
for the
hope for the
worst.
best.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like pool hooks, like ideally you're going to have the pool enclosed in a fence that locks. Like that's a big legal, not a requirement, but a best recommendation. There's a whole list of things, but those are on the short list that I would recommend for everybody to look into.
I was able to, by the way, Brandt, do your properties have some of these things? One had
We have
a
a
pool or
hot tub
yeah.
at our tiny home, and we have like a stock tank pool, which is literally like a stock tank that has a
Right.
filter and everything.
Yeah.
That we
They
saw a
become
lot
very
of
popular.
Airbnbs in Austin and Atlanta get them. So we're like, oh, let's just put one. It's pretty inexpensive. We put it at our duplex in near the lake, and people love
Mhm.
it.
Do you feel like with the tiny home that there was the HGTV show that was like tiny homes, I think, and it really had a moment. Do you feel like that is continuing, that people are still really intrigued by the tiny home experience?
So my thought process is like, I think that's just like the new way you need to honestly buy a home. Like if you want to make money on it, like our whole thought process behind purchasing our home in Plaza Midwood was, okay, we'll buy the home, we'll build the tiny home, and then when we move out, now we have two rentals on one property.
Mm.
So one of the rentals covers the mortgage, and then other rental is strictly profit.
Okay. Could your tiny home also be like a mother-in-law suite for someone who, if you end up selling down the line, maybe their parents, when they come visit, they want a separate place for them
Oh
to
yeah,
stay, a
absolutely.
little bit of
I mean,
privacy.
fully functional
Mhm.
kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, living room. Um, I mean, yeah, it's super nice. The contractors, Julian and H&S Legacy Properties did a great job.
How do you balance when you're calculating how much it is to build something like this on your property and how long it's going to take with rentals to, you know, pay it off essentially? How do you balance those numbers with the cost of construction these days?
Yeah, so I kind of get an estimate. My whole thought process is like I can only play soccer for so long, so I'm trying.
What?
I know it's crazy. It's crazy. I wish I could play till I'm 60, but I can't.
Yeah.
And I know that. So I'm trying to set up, second, third sources of income
Mhm.
before I retire.
Caleb, I scoured your Instagram and I came up with a list of like tools to success, kind of. And either of you can kind of chime in on these, but I would love to hear kind of what these bullet points are essentially, and how they can help someone in their short-term rental make it more successful than maybe the ones they're competing against.
Yeah, I mean, ADR drivers really it's just a sexy way to say like, why would people book your place over somebody else? Like Brandt's stock pool,
And this is average day rental,
average daily rate
daily
drivers.
rate. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like how if a normal one bed one bath apartment rents for 125 bucks a night, how do we push that up to 150, 175, or even like 200 a night?
Hmm.
That's really with good design, good amenities, obviously good reviews, pricing strategy, which is a whole nother topic, but really just having all those and doing the best you can at all those, like you can't lose if you do a couple of those.
Because I mean, you're also competing against other properties that might be priced right around the same per
Hmm.
night. But if you drop yours maybe $5, I don't know if that would make much of a difference. You would know more than I. But if you drop it $5 lower, then all of a sudden maybe you go from losing that booking to being booked 3 to 4 weeks out of the month.
Hmm.
Am I correct in
Yeah,
that? Is that
yeah,
kind of
for
the
sure.
thought process there?
Yeah. And yeah, smaller houses, you're competing against hotels too.
Hmm.
Bigger houses, you don't really have to worry about that because hotels don't have full kitchens and they do have
Right.
pools, but like they don't really have secluded common spaces. So it's really like, are you in, the smaller group or are you in like the bigger group? I personally would either go something like Brent did with, you know, studios or one bedrooms or like the 4+ bedroom houses.
Okay.
They're just, I think if you get caught in the middle, that's where a lot of the competition is because
Mm.
I call the 3, 1.5, the investor special. Everybody's bought one. And you really, really have to stand out in that sub market. If you do like a studio or one bedroom, it's almost easier because the purchase price is lower and there's so many like couples or singles that are traveling. And then on the bigger end, I think this is kind of the untapped market right now is like the 4+ bedroom houses.
Hmm.
Like I just bought one and we amenitied everything possible. Um, so I think that's, the 12-person stay that hotels can't compete with. And I've got every amenity under the sun. So you would really have to go above and beyond to like out amenity me in that market.
What weight do you put in EV chargers? I once heard that that's kind of, you don't want to be, when someone's going through checking the boxes, they might not necessarily need an EV charger, but it might be something that they want just in case. And all of a sudden, if you don't have it, you're immediately out of the mix
Yeah.
because it's one of those boxes that they checked.
Yeah. EV, I added that. I've estimated it adds maybe $1 to $2 grand a year, not a lot.
Okay.
I think it's more of like a pre-booking thing, where if somebody sees it, they automatically think good or bad about Tesla, right? But like branding, typically Tesla's like higher end, luxury. I wanted to associate with that brand. So that's a big reason why we put EV chargers in that specific property. And another reason was our target demographic with that house, it's right in front of a park. So like typically outdoor people, they likely have more of an EV car than like, a truck or an SUV. So once again, I tried to do every amenity under the sun, spent a lot of money doing it, but we're
You think the return is there?
we're 90% booked the first month already.
Okay, impressive.
And we launched in February, which was slow season.
Wow. So self-manage, Brandt self-manages,
Yep.
right? You don't have a
That's right.
company that
Yeah,
goes.
my-
I figured that much from the cleaning video. That
Yeah, my wife does all of it. She's a superstar.
is that just kind of a money-saving thing? Is to try to get the biggest return on investment? You put in the sweat equity and the work.
Well, everybody's got a different view. Like you're in a unique spot where, your wife is good at this. She likes it, I'm assuming, well, at least most of it.
Yeah.
And she has like the wherewithal and the knowledge to do it at a high level. Like my company it's different because we've got 35 properties that we manage. So like doing it yourself definitely saves cost, right? And also you're kind of like creating your own unique spin on it. Like you guys know these houses up and down, like you probably love them. You put a lot of sweat, into those
Right.
properties. So self-managing is an easy way. Like it's not rocket science. Like anybody can manage an Airbnb. It's just when things come up that you've never encountered before, like what do you do and how do you
And are you
get through that?
available?
Yeah.
Are you ready to drop everything to go
Yep.
fix something that needs to be fixed?
Yep.
All right, dynamic pricing. We've heard this throughout the years and obviously the airlines do it, stadiums do it. As we get closer to game time, the prices go down. How do you use dynamic pricing with short-term rentals?
I use a software on called Price Labs.
Okay.
And that kind of takes the average of what is comparable to my properties. And it'll say, okay, this is what we should charge for this night, and it refreshes, hourly. So it'll just be like, okay, the price has changed, so it'll either go up or down.
So do you manually then change it, or does Price Labs
No, you
change
sync
it
it
for
up.
you?
It syncs it
Okay.
for me, so I pay like $35 or $40 a month, and it automatically gives me dynamic pricing hourly through like every day.
Interesting. And are there like filters that you can then put on that and say, I want to be on the lower end of the comps
Yeah.
in the area, or
Yeah, you
whatever?
have like a can't go below a certain number, can't go above a certain number, and then you have like a base price of like, okay, it's average around this
Okay.
like nightly price.
Okay, interesting. Last bullet point on our list: reviews into flywheel. What's a flywheel?
Once again, just a sexy term that's like getting the more reviews you have, typically the more bookings that will come in. Guests look at reviews before they stay. So the more good reviews, obviously, the more confident that person is going to feel in this property and this host. Chances are they're going to book your place over a property with less reviews or even no reviews. So it's just a flywheel of the more reviews you can get as quickly as possible, the better you're going to do.
And the response, I'm assuming, back from the hosts of if it shows that you're a responsive host.
Yeah, very important. Yeah, just responding to reviews. Even, honestly, if you only, I see so many hosts that don't respond to reviews. Just respond to the like negative ones. The good ones are easy, but I would respond to all of them. I would recommend responding to all of them, but at least the negative ones, because once the review is posted, like you can't really do much about it. It's very hard to get them taken down.
Mm-hmm.
Just put a public response of
You're
like,
reliant on the person who posted it to
Mhm.
understand how to take it down, even if they wanted to.
right. Well, yeah. Well, you're talking to the future guest at that point
Yeah.
of like, okay, this pool was green. This sheet, there was a hair on it. Like you're talking to the thousands of guests that are looking at those reviews and debating on booking your place versus another one.
So we've talked about like what to do when you get your short-term rental, but what about before that? Shopping for a short-term rental. How do you determine, there are so many listings out there that say this is a successful Airbnb property, and it's like, well, if it is, why are you getting rid of it? So 98% of the homes out there aren't suitable for Airbnb. So how do you find the 2%?
I didn't hear this anywhere. I don't want to say I coined it, but it was something that we used internally. I call it the 15% rule, where the revenue needs to be at least 15% of the purchase price. So whatever, 60 grand of 400,000, my math may be off, but like ideally that 15% is larger. Like if you can get a 20%, if you can find one, that's ideal. But even if it's like a 14 or a 13%, like you're still probably going to cash flow after all expenses. So that's just a back of the napkin math of like, and where you kind of find the revenue number. We use a tool called AirDNA. It's free. We pay probably too much for it, but you essentially plug in the address. It gives you a number. You take that number, you divide it by the purchase price to keep it super simple.
Okay. Pets, no pets?
We allow pets, at most, except for we have a top-down duplex, so on the top unit, we don't allow pets because it's
Noise.
pretty much all, noise, and it's all carpet in there. But at all of our other rentals, we do allow pets because you can charge. It's like an easy fee that you can charge, because people are willing to travel and pay probably more than you would think for their pets. So we allow pets when we can.
Well, I guess too, if they're thinking about boarding their pet while they go on vacation versus bringing their, probably dog, right? We're talking about dogs mostly.
Yep.
I don't think, too many people are bringing their turtle on vacation, but, more likely than not, it's still going to be less than if they board their dog.
Or go to a hotel, you're paying 90 to $100 a night for a dog.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's pricey. New dog owner here, so like I didn't know this either, but it's very pricey to bring them to hotels. Hotels are starting to get more smart and charging that, but for us like hosts, like I think 95% of our properties are dog friendly. I saw a stat, it was like 33% of travelers travel with pets. So like immediately you're pertaining to 33% more travelers off the gate if you allow them. And it's a revenue driver as well.
I would love to hear if you've had something that just didn't work out, or if you've had a crazy guest story, or has it all been just wonderful?
We could do a whole episode.
We could,
Okay.
we could talk.
You were getting me blank stares, and I'm like, maybe there isn't anything there, but there is.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish that was the case.
I feel like 90% of people or 95% of guests, like everything's typically fine. But then you get that 5 to 10% that stay, and usually it's just like a massive mess that you're going, it's like, oh man, what am I about to walk into? But now there's certain parameters you can set on Airbnb, being like, okay, you can only stay with us if you have a previous 5-star review or if you have so many trips. So we've incorporated that now just to, cancel out maybe potential bad guests that would mess up the property.
How do you keep the big, spring breakers? I mean, I know some of yours are smaller, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about the one in Mooresville.
It's total. You can book it as a 4-bed, 2-bath.
Okay. We can pull that one. I don't know which one this is. Is this the Mooresville?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but how do you keep the big parties out?
I think guest vetting is underrated. Nobody ever talks about it. We're pretty strict, to be honest with you, because we've seen some bad things.
You don't want them to trash your investment.
Right. I think we have a wall of house rules. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like every week we're adding a new house rule. We're like, oh my God, I didn't think about them, downloading and mining crypto in our house. It's like, and the utility bill was $700. It's wild. So like,
so that happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
We have a wall of house rules. I think that shields, we dodge a lot of bullets that we don't know we dodged. We collect ID. We have a check-in form that we send every guest. We collect their ID. We require age 25 and up. And then also we look at their reviews. We also have that good track record checkbox on every property. So if they have a negative review, they can't instant book. So there's like a couple different things that we do even before they, like, this is way before their check-in. Like right after they book, we do that immediately. We have them submit their ID, ask like, what are you doing in town? What about this? What about that? So
without being too invasive, because at the same time, if someone's on vacation, they don't want to get interrogated before they get there.
Yep. It's a fine balance.
Yeah.
Like we definitely piss people off, to be honest with you. But I would rather that than allow anybody at my houses, because we've seen, we haven't had like huge parties, but like we've seen, a couple $1,000 worth of damage, lipstick, kisses on the wall, like glass and disposal, like some stuff you're like, how do people live like that?
Because it's not theirs.
Right. Yeah. And like I'm sure you guys do as well. Like we get a lot of, couple month stays. So like they're there for, 3 months at a time. Like they wear in things, right? So it's a fine balance between like being strict and then also being a good host. But I always compare to like the hospitality industry, the hotel industry. Like try to go to a hotel and not give them your ID or a form of payment. Like they're going to tell you to find another hotel. Like we do the same thing.
Right. That's fair enough. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And to everyone else out there, thank you so much for watching this episode of Turnkey. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.